Points in Game 3. So what changed for him last night? We will discuss that shortly. First, though, Jimmy Butler simply amazing yesterday. He joined Jerry West and LeBron as the only players to have a 40-point triple-double in an NBA Finals game. And here's the most important part. He's the only one of those three to put those numbers up and win the game he did it in. Here are the numbers, in fact. 40 points. 13 assists, 11 rebounds on 70% shooting and didn't take a single three. But after the game, Jimmy again downplayed his own performance and emphasized, well, you know what he cares about, winning. Take a listen.
What is it about you where you just don't care? And it seems like you almost would prefer if it was Tyler's night or if it was Kelly's night or whoever else is scoring 40 in a win.
Everybody remembers winning. That's it. I don't care how many points you score. All I care if you win or loss. And for us, we're all about winning. We are. I say it all the time, and I mean it. The guys that we have, the group that Coach Pat and Coach Bo put together, it's always to win, nothing else. So I hope the next game I score 0 and y'all talk all y'all want to talk and we win so I can come up here and say the same thing.
Let's put in a little context about how important Jimmy's performance was. The Heat win last night, the second largest upset in the finals in the last 30 seasons based on point spreads. The only larger upset was, say it with me, Richard, Allen Iverson's signature 48-point game.
Step over
Game 1, 2001 finals. The only loss the Lakers team suffered in those playoffs. Now, of course, I don't like to talk about this part as much, but it was the only game that Iverson's Sixers managed to win in those 2001 finals. Does Butler's performance last night, Richard, have you believing the Heat can do a little bit better than that and make this even more of a series than AI did back then?
Well, truth be told, it's not about whether or not I believe. It's about whether or not his performance helps his teammates believe. And I do believe that his performance did that. Even up until when he was talking trash and him and Bron had a little bit of back and forth at the end of the game. I will say this, Bron started it, and then Jimmy had the last word. And ultimately, it was more about, hey, look, if our leader is not fearful of the best player in the world, then we don't have to be either. And I think he's just instilling confidence in these players, and these players are giving him even more of a confidence. You've seen the way Tyler Hero played. So I think this is more about him giving his group even more confidence that they believe that they can do it.
Well, RJ, I'm with you on the part where you say that he's instilling confidence into his team, and rightfully so after that performance that he put up yesterday. But do I believe that he can win this series? Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at it, Jimmy had to play perfect. He had a perfect game last night, in my opinion, the way that he dominated on both ends of the floor, and I just don't see that happening. And by the way, the Lakers helped them out with 19 turnovers. I believe LeBron James has 6 and Anthony Davis has 6. Well, LeBron didn't have one single turnover in game 2. The Lakers came out flat. They came out like they was in the scrimmage, and the Heat came out desperate. The Lakers did not match their intensity, and I just don't see the Heat playing this extremely well to beat the Lakers in any more games in this series. And I'm calling it now, Rachel and Richard, RJ, gentlemen sweep. That's what the Lakers do. That's what they've been doing in these playoffs. Gentlemen sweep is what's going to happen.
There you go. Well, I don't know. I would say this about belief, though, to Richard's point, that Jimmy Butler even acknowledged to me that he was nervous in game 1. And I was like, you nervous? And he said, yeah, I've never been on this stage before. And he said that they now do believe that they belong there. So is that going to translate into more wins? We'll have to see. But they have had a change that way mentally. The second thing is, Perk, we got to talk about where you're sitting.
And
right?
that chair. Like that chair. Perk, you are one of the biggest human beings, and somehow you are sitting in a chair that is bigger than you. Where? Look at that. It looks soft, too. It looks. Look at that smile.
It is. Some people say it looks like I'm laying
something.
in the casket.
It's something, Perk.
Richard's just jealous, Perk. He's
That's
just
it.
jealous. He wants
That's
to
it. It looks sharp,
himself.
though, Perk. It looks soft. Look comfortable.
Looks good. All right, I want to talk to y'all about Anthony Davis. 15 points in game 3, not what we've been used to seeing in these playoffs. He was in foul trouble for most of the game, but he only attempted one shot in the fourth quarter when he was on the court. That is very unlike him. Now, he did say he was unconcerned after the game. Take a listen.
Just silly turnovers. I mean, I had 4. Offensive fouls, miscommunication, some on some passes, but we just have to be better overall. I mean, we'll be fine. We make shots. We didn't defend at all tonight. They made big shots, made some good plays. Trust me, we'll be fine.
So Perk, AD says the Lakers will be fine. What do you think changed for him in Game 3 that made him less effective than he was earlier in the series?
Well, you got to give credit to the Heat defense and those Miami Heat players because they came out with a different type of edge. But also, I got to give a lot of credit to Eric Spoelstra. His game plan on Anthony Davis was phenomenal. The way that they were trapping him when he caught the ball on the low block on the touch, they were getting the ball out of his hands. And in that mid-range post area on the low block, I think that's not going to work for Anthony Davis going forward. So now it's on Frank Vogel to readjust and make some adjustments to put AD in position to be successful, maybe catching it in the mid-post range around the free throw area. But a lot of credit to Eric Spoelstra because I think his game plan yesterday was phenomenal as far as getting the ball out of Anthony Davis' hands and mixing it up and showing him different bodies.
My thing about this is that as great as the Lakers, played in Game 1, there was a lot of things there. Game 1, there was a ton of injuries, and they shot the ball extremely well, probably as well as they have shot in this postseason. It was a very, very impressive, especially at that initial Miami Heat start. But after that, you notice the Miami Heat have played better. They've played with more confidence. And Anthony Davis, just in my opinion, he needs to catch it lower because if he catches it in that mid-block area, then all of a sudden it's like they can send a double team. You saw the offensive foul. They are loading up on him, forcing the Lakers to shoot threes. Now, this is a difference when you're going to live. If the Lakers go out there and shoot 43% one night, do you know what you're going to do the next night? Make
the English. I remember when we was in Boston, he used
RJ
to
doesn't
work
believe
on
you,
those
Perk.
shots.
No,
like
I don't believe
spinning
not that I don't believe him. It's just that I would never because I don't have that type of skill.
Miss Daps. Kyle Kuzma with the momentum bucket last night. His bench is loving it, but poor AD. Look at this. Watch this. Anthony Davis, he's got a high five himself. Watch. And
well, he kept walking forward too.
No, he's like, all right, and okay.
Yeah, a lot of solo action there for,
Right.
for
This
Anthony
is
Davis.
going to join the Hall of Fame. We have this running group of clips on the jump.
That's one of my favorite ones. Where Russ gets mad. Russ is turning, looking
Nick
like,
Nurse is like, I wasn't doing anything. Yeah, the Phil Jackson one's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
just rub your face. Yeah, dap yourself up.
And now Anthony Davis is going to join our missed handshake Hall of Fame. High five.
Well, it happens to the best of us. It happens to everybody. RJ, it didn't happen to you. Rachel, it probably didn't happen to you. When people that walked in, you want to high five somebody.
What about Tyler
it
Hero?
happened to me. Guys just
It's
get
never
caught
happened
up
to
in
Tyler
I love
Hero.
that snarl. I love it. Because you know why? This is not phony. This is who Tyler Hero is. He walks up like, yeah, that's what he feels. And then now all these clips of him in high school talking trash to other teams, and it's just like, that's just who the dude is.
I
He just has
asked
that
him
swag.
earlier today if he could repeat it. He said, I don't know how I made my face do that. He said I could not do it. But his younger brother texted him a photo of the younger brother doing it. So I think we will now see this around high school gyms everywhere.
Tyler is my new favorite player.
I don't know.
I'm going to get a Tyler Hero jersey just like Jimmy.
Tyler Hero, one of the best-selling jerseys in the NBA this playoff, so you're not the only one.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, guys, before Game 3 last night, I sat down with Commissioner Adam Silver. We discussed how watching other leagues play outside a bubble may affect his thinking about what he wants to do next season. Remember, the NBA has said their preference is to play in home markets. That means teams' home arena in front of fans. But as we've seen in some other leagues, baseball, football this week, that can get a little bit complicated. Take a listen to our conversation. Welcome back to NBA Countdown. We are here at the arena where Game 3 is about to be played. I am Rachel Nichols, joined now by Commissioner Adam Silver. And congratulations, Adam. What you have pulled off here really is just truly staggering.
Thank you. It's a bit premature. We got some games yet to be played, but thank you.
How has watching the sports that have elected not to do a bubble, like the NFL, which has had to reschedule 2 games just this weekend, influenced your thinking on next season and that desire to play in home markets?
I'd say the answer to that question is also a bit premature to make decisions for us yet next season. We've, of course, been following it closely, and I think both baseball and football would acknowledge that if you're not in a bubble, it increases the chance that this is a highly contagious virus, that someone's going to get it. I think the real issue, when people are living at home, and it's the same for you and me, it's going to increase the chance, especially if you have kids. I think the issue is with daily testing and rapid testing, can you quickly contain it?
Right.
And so it doesn't spread. And I think the NFL is clearly learning more as they go. And they've been terrific, baseball and football, sharing information with us. And we, hockey, and the other leagues have all shared information with each other.
You've said that the start of next season is flexible as you wait for more information, medical advances in testing. Of course, at some point, it would become too long for the NBA to take a break. So how long are you comfortable with the NBA offseason being?
Right. It's too long for us to take a break. And then you got to start thinking about the other end of when do you get back on schedule and when do you start? How far long can you go? I've said previously that the earliest we'd start is Christmas. Maybe more likely will be in January.
Do you have a latest, though?
Not really, only because you're right that on the players' bodies, we only want to go so long. They clearly need a rest physically and mentally, from being in this bubble. But then the question is, what's going to happen with the virus? As Dr. Fauci says, the virus will decide. And if there truly is a second wave, things that could push us back. And we're very mindful that while it's fantastic what's happening in this bubble, we love our fans and we want to bring them back into the arenas, and we want to do it, of course, safely. And so if there are advancements right on the horizon, that will be a reason to wait.
The NBA has certainly been the most visible billion-dollar organization championing social justice and civil rights. As you noted in your press conference the other day, though, that has not been universally popular. How committed are you to being that going forward?
We're completely committed to standing for social justice and racial equality. And that's been the case going back decades. It's part of the DNA of this league. How it gets manifested is something we're going to have to sit down with the players and discuss for next season. I would say in terms of the messages you see on our court, on the jerseys, this was an extraordinary moment in time when we began the discussions with the players and what we all lived through this summer. My sense is there'll be somewhat a return to normalcy, that those messages will largely be left to be delivered off the floor. And I understand those people who are saying, I'm on your side, but I want to watch a basketball game.
Thank you to Commissioner Silver for taking the time. Kendrick, what's your reaction to the commissioner's response and how the NBA will handle social issues moving forward?
Well, first of all, Rachel, how can you not love Adam Silver, right? He's the best commissioner in the sports, right? We have the best commissioner, and I love him. Just listening to his interview, you could tell he has a genuine, good soul. But, I just love everything about him. But to answer your question, I think they're going to continue to get better. I think the ownerships are doing what they need to do behind the scenes. I know I talked with the Boston Celtics owners and Steve Pagluga and Wick Grossbeck, and they're doing things right now for us, getting together with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to figure out different ways to interact, especially in the African community, and reach out to people that they have relationships with, for as mayors, governors, to help get us back where we need to be. So it's on the franchise guys, in my opinion, to make sure they keep their feet on to the pedal and keep sure that they make sure they hold their owners accountable to make sure that they don't take steps backwards, but keep moving forward.
I like what Adam Silver said. He's talking about his name as far as names on the jerseys and Black Lives Matter on the court. This was such a unique moment in time, and I think the NBA has always been at the forefront, and so they wanted to focus in on that with this group. Now, moving forward, I understand you're still a business, and this is still a company, and so you have to look at how can we now take our efforts from on the court to off the court. What can we do in conjunction with the players off the court, working in communities, donating money, helping some of the issues that are very, very important in all of the athletes' communities? I think that's where their focus should then go on to. And I personally believe that Adam Silver, all of the owners, and even a ton of them opening up, the arenas and practice facilities for helping for voting. I think that should continue. That shouldn't just be for the president. That should be when you're doing stuff for the Senate and for the House, because those are the individuals that are making and moving these laws along that are going to be affecting all of these communities, and it's not just the presidency. So I think that this is step one, and I look forward to see what the next steps are.
And look, at the beginning, I felt like it did really matter to put names on the back of the jerseys and to have signage on the court, especially with Black Lives Matter, because you really had so many people in this country who wouldn't even say that sentence. And so the idea that the NBA stood up and said, Black Lives Matter. We are putting the weight of this billion-dollar business behind this. We believe in this. We believe in our players. That was important. It's not just a slogan. It is actually representing something. But there is a point after you have made that, after you have said to everyone, Black Lives Matter, after you have put the weight of your business behind it, that you then have to do things that are more consequential and meaningful, more tangible. So I am very much, and Perk, you and I have always been on the same page on this. I am very interested to see what the NBA's ownership groups do, because they are the ones with the political influence and the money. You are talking about some of the richest people in this country, and they have the power to affect change in the way that even individual millionaire players don't have. So that is what I'm looking forward to see coming forward. All right, guys, coming up, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James. Well, trash talking back and forth last night. Is that something, nothing, or everything? We'll discuss next.
When that pressure on, will you be stepped like you're rich, or will you turn on the just like when that pressure on?
We live in uncertain times. However, there is one thing you can be certain of. The men and women of the United States Postal Service. We are here to deliver your cards, packages, and prescriptions. And also deliver the peace of mind knowing that what's important to you, like your ballot, is on its way. Every day, all across America, we deliver for you.
Both chirping back and forth throughout the game. Jimmy, of course, did get the last word, although both men, I want to point this out, both of them after the game talked about how much they love playing against each other and how much they respect each other. So, Kendrick, is the trash talk something, nothing, or everything?
It's everything. Rachel, we don't want a friendly finals. We want to see this type of interaction. They're competing. This is what we want. And we don't, look, this is bigger than just Jimmy Butler and LeBron James. This is bigger than the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Miami Heat. This is LeBron James versus Pat Riley. We all know that relationship ain't in on good terms. And I want to see this. This is what we want to see. We don't want to see a friendly finals. Keep talking.
Look, I don't understand how the Pat Riley, LeBron James thing didn't end on good terms. It's like when Bron decides to do what he wants to do, everyone's upset, right? Dan Gilbert was upset when he went to Miami.
Okay, but let's not put Pat Riley in the same category as what Dan Gilbert
But what
did.
I'm saying is that when Bron decided to go back home, all of a sudden he put Pat Riley in a bad spot. It's like, no, he decided to end his contract, fulfill it, and go home. There's a lot more to that going on, but this is my point. I'm saying it's something. It's not everything. It's not nothing. And why I say it's something is the same point that I made earlier. When you are a Jimmy, or when you are a Tyler Hero, when you are a Duncan Robinson, and you see your best player looking at LeBron James on the Mount Rushmore talking about you're in trouble, y'all in trouble in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, I'm telling you, you go as your leader goes. And so a lot of times you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, Jimmy, yeah, they in trouble. You start hyping yourselves up. You start hyping each other up. So it's something as far as I think the energy that he gives to his team, he just has them all believing, and that's what you need.
I mean, it's just what we want to see, right? It's guys going at it, even if they are friends off the court. As y'all always tell me, just because we're good, when it comes time to have that glass of wine, we are not good inside of these four lines, and we saw that last night. LeBron also got some attention when he walked off the court as the final 10 seconds ran off the clock last night. I mean, the Lakers were down 11. The game was over. This was not the Pistons walking out on Michael Jordan, but Richard, is it something, nothing, or everything?
Look, I understand it's the finals. We understand it's Bron. I'm going to say it's a little something, but I'm going to more lean towards nothing. I'm going to say nothing, and this is the reason. He walks off the court, like everyone knows. It's victory formation. He's walking off the court. He stops. He turns around. He looks and sees it goes to 0. Every look, he's sitting right there. You see other players. You see Rondo. You see Kuzma. It goes to 0. After it goes to 0, then he turns and walks. He didn't know that there was a 0.7 differential with the referees. You need 5 guys on the court. We're talking about LeBron James, and he stood there. Rondo and Kyle Kuzma had already bailed out, but the only person we're talking about is Bron. It is nothing. That's not my phone. That's not my phone this time. It's not my phone.
Richard,
how is my phone
I'm with
still
you
going
on that.
off?
It's nothing about LeBron as far as him walking off the court, because when you look at the situation, everyone was leaving, like you said, even the coaches. The game clock and shot clock had the same. It was basically the same time. But to me, it's everything. It's everything in another aspect, and let me tell you why. Because to me, it looks like Jimmy sent them to the showers early. That's what it looks like. And now it's everything, because now we all are interested to see what happens in Game 4, because the Lakers walked off the court pissed off and Jimmy Butler sent them to the showers.
You know who this bothers? This
night.
bothers people who don't like bat flips. That's who it bothers. It bothers the unwritten rules people.
Jordan would never do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we got in The Last Dance, right? We got when it really actually was about something.
That is not cool.
And this was, hey, we're not shaking hands after.
With 7 seconds ago, yes, that's not cool. That right there.
That is when that actually means something. Not in Game 3.
Look at MJ's face. MJ was disgusted. MJ was disgusted. And I love it. Isaiah, look, I don't know why I didn't make the dream team. I fit all the criteria. I can point to why they didn't have you on there. And yes, you did fit all the criteria because he was a bad man.
And that's when I took it personal. Okay. Over the weekend, let's move on. Over the weekend, Adam Silver said it's, quote, unlikely the NBA will stop next season for the Olympics. Now, we don't even know if they're going to get to the Olympics, but the NBA season potentially starting in January, it just becomes, do you shorten the season so you avoid a conflict in July or August with the summer games? Then again, we don't know when the summer games are going to be because they're rescheduled. We have a date, but we don't know if they're actually going to happen. I'm asking Kendrick. Wait your turn. Kendrick, is the Olympic Games without NBA players something, nothing, or everything?
It's everything, but it's a statement by Adam Silver saying one word: adjustments, meaning he have to make the necessary adjustments to make sure that the NBA get back on track. So with that being said, we may not see our best players from America playing in the Olympics this year, and rightfully so, because we got to make sure that we get back on track and make sure that the games get back to playing the regular scheduled times and not playing until October like we're doing right now. So I believe it's everything. I think Adam Silver is calling the shot on this one, and it's the right shot to call.
Okay, but it's not just the American players in Team USA. There's 108 international players who played in their Olympic teams or plan to play in their Olympic teams. And also you've got the TV schedule, whether the players are playing in it or not. Richard, do you think ESPN, ABC, TNT are going to want to go up against the Olympics and NBC? It's in something.
Yeah. So it's a little confusion. First of all, let's look at it from this standpoint. USA basketball, as important as it is, it has done the job that it's supposed to do. USA Basketball was put out there, and the Dream Team was put out there to grow the global game. It's done that. That's why we have so many international players. But the season is also important. We know this, Rachel. Yeah. The owners do not care about the Olympics. They do not care about it one bit. And so this is going to be a weird moment. You do not want to be competing against the Summer Games if they are able to pull it off. But there's a give and take here. You got to figure it out. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have NBA players in the Olympics, or if you wanted to have certain players, like if Giannis wanted to leave his team for a month and go play again for Greece. You know, he's entitled to that.
The complication, though, is it's not just leaving. Whatever they work out for quarantining and whatever they work out for keeping protocols of keeping people safe, if someone's flying off to the Olympics, working them back into the NBA would be a whole multi-week affair. So I can see a possibility where the NBA plays right up until the Olympic Games, which would not be enough time to let players compete in them, but then would not have the NBA as a whole competing with the Olympics. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows what next season is going to be like? Who knows what next month is going to be like? Coming up. I know what next block of the show is going to be like. Mark Spears is going to join us. He's going to discuss his new book, Spencer Haywood, and what the NBA needs to do to address the lack of diversity among head coaches. We're going to talk about that as well. Had to write this book.
Talking to Spencer, he reached out to me, and I've done a couple stories with him with Undefeated. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of stuff that goes with him, and he was comfortable talking about picking cotton and the racism that he dealt with in Mississippi and free agency and the drugs. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Being married to Amon, this dude deserves a 30 for 30. And then also,
Did not know he was married to Amon.
Yeah. There's some stuff with him.
Respect just went up even further.
Okay, Spence.
Yeah, but Gary and I've been covering NBA over 20 years. He's been covering over 15. This is the first real book offer we got. And to get it for a guy like Spencer, man, we had to jump at it.
No, that's awesome. And meeting him just very briefly, you know so much about people's stories and kind of what he did to help open up, players getting free agency and all the different things. But when you talk to him, he feels like his place in history up in that kind of important place of other individuals isn't where it should be. Is that something that's conveyed in this book?
The name. The Spencer Haywood rule. He wants some things about free agency to be named after him. He's really, really adamant about it. Been fighting for it for years. And when they read the book, they'll learn about his history in free agency. So the Spencer Haywood rule is something that he wants implemented in terms of giving him respect for what he's done.
What he fought for. He went to the Supreme Court to fight for this.
He deserves that respect, 100%. And I got to say, I love the way the book looks, by the way. It's not just the front, but the back cover as well. He says, I was fighting for everyone before me and everyone after me also. And I think that is so meaningful and so true, and that learning about guys like this for people who are, it's funny, Tyler Hero, you're going to hear a little quote from him later in the show because I sat down and interviewed him this morning. And I was joking with him about, hey, do people scream songs at you because of Hero, right? He's like, half of them I've never even heard of these songs because he's so young. And you just get reminded that a lot of the people in the NBA Finals, in the game today, they're young. Maybe some of the players don't even know Spencer Haywood.
And he's a character.
Oh, yes.
He used to eat roadkill.
I can't. Okay.
That's that old Southern boy. Southern boy. Okay.
And there we go. I do want to talk to you a little bit about today's NBA. You have been really tracking this issue of where are we with black coaches in the NBA. And this is just not new right now, but right now is what we have to talk about. Doc Rivers, when he was officially introduced in Philadelphia, became the 5th right now black coach going on with our current structure, but we still have 5 teams, right, that have openings. Clippers parted ways with him. There was concern, right? What are we going to do here? Here is on Doc on why he ended up in Philly.
I love coaching. I absolutely love it. But I was not going to just coach anybody. I can tell you that. I was ready to take a break. And it just depended on the team that was available. And if I thought that team, in my opinion, was ready to win, that excited me. And, when Elton called, it was an easy get on a plane and take a look for me. And just when you look at these players, these young players, and their potential, the fact that they've had, so much success in some ways at the ages that they are already, and where I believe they can go, for me is a job you just couldn't turn down. And that's why I'm here. Just really excited about it.
So listening to him, he is now, the numbers back up to 5. There's 5 openings. What is the league doing to make sure that the coaching and on the bench is representative of the players who are on the court?
Well, Mark Tatum, who's second in charge in the NBA, or Stewart, who's in charge of diversity and inclusion, anytime there's an opening, they send candidates that you would think of, maybe some that you wouldn't think of. Black candidates, candidates of color, women. Now, they can't force the teams to hire anybody, but they're making sure that you know that these people are available and what they can offer to the team. What you decide to do after that is on you. So these teams that say, we couldn't find anybody black.
Right.
That's all a lie. They're getting big in time information, and I'm starting to hear more about John Lucas possibly in Houston, more about T. Lue getting interest from a couple different places, and Adam Silver, he kind of gave a hint the other day before Doc was picked that, hey, I do think that African Americans in a league that's 75% black are going to get some of these openings.
Yeah, no, I think they are. I think obviously T-Lou is going to have, if not at least one job offer, he's going to have 2 opportunities to go, and whether it's, Indiana or New Orleans, or he has a relationship with Griff, even, being somewhat, people believe he's a front runner for the Clippers. I think my question is, you see those names of the top few, I just think there just needs to be a longer list, right? There's individuals like Jamal Mosley in Dallas that has been, paying so much time in working with
David
Carlisle.
Vanderpool.
I was going to say, we're starting to see David Vanderpool get some looks, but someone he probably should have gotten looks 3 or 4 years ago, right?
And I think that falls on us and the people in the media making sure that these names are put out there so that they get the opportunities for interviews and stuff like that.
I'm going to give you another thing.
Please.
The players.
Yeah, the players also.
I think here in the bubble, they've realized what kind of power they have. So when it comes to these hires, whether it's a free agent, front office or the coaches, say something.
Yeah.
You can't say, you better hire somebody black, but at least let it be a diverse process. Let me know about the process. And they have powerful players in this league who can make an impact on who's looked at.
Well, and we saw it with the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, Kyrie and Kevin Durant signed off on that Steve Nash hire. You're not going to hire a first-time head coach, even if he is a Hall of Famer, unless the players, and obviously there was a relationship with him and Kevin Durant, so that helped it. But that just shows you that players do have a little bit of a say-so in who they are bringing in and who they're interviewing.
Absolutely. And look, you also want to see black head coaches get the same patience, right, that some of their white counterparts do. When Nate McMillan was fired, all I heard from players was like, oh, yeah, fire the black guy when he gets you to the playoffs after